Mila esker bigarren egun honetara etortzeagatik. Buenos días. Vamos a dar comienzo a esta segunda jornada del Congreso de Ciberpebi, segunda y última jornada. Nuestra primera ponente de hoy es la profesora Leopoldina Fortunati. Ella viene de la Universidad de Udine, en Italia. Es una experta en periodismo digital y nuevas tecnologías. Es también responsable del máster de comunicación que tienen allí en la facultad. Y Leopoldina es una investigadora muy destacada en Europa que ha participado en diversos grupos y en diversas redes europeas, entre ellas la más conocida, la red COST. Y hoy nos va a hablar en su intervención sobre las nuevas audiencias y cómo estas nuevas audiencias se desarrollan en los diferentes dispositivos con una perspectiva europea y comparada. So, good morning, everyone, and thank you for coming to this second day of the Congress. Our first speaker is going to be Leopoldina Fortunati. She is coming from the University of Udine in Italy. She is an expert in online journalism. And today, Leopoldina is going to talk us about the new life of their readerships. So, thank you very much, Leopoldina.
Thank you to you. Thank you for having me here. And welcome to this part of the conference. The title of my presentation, as she said, is The New About News, or The New Life of Readership. Why? Okay. To start, so I would like to, we wait, a lot of people is coming inside. Yes.
It's here.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. The outline of my presentation is true. Okay. Today I will present 3 research I did. One, macro cross-cultural research of written news readerships. So we analyzed readership of print newspaper, online newspaper, free press, and mobile news. Then I will present a micro picture of readerships of print and online newspapers, so a qualitative research, starting from the materiality of these 2 objects, so print and online newspaper. And then to finish, a quali-quanti study of QR code. And we will discover why QR code are important for newspapers. I will be very brief, very short, because there is a lot of things to say, so maybe we can discuss when I finish, if you have some questions, something you want to know better. The first research is this study on EU5. EU5 are considered Italy, Spain, France, the UK, and Germany. So on the audiences, readership, etc., in these 5 countries. We had a representative sample of the population of these countries, and we had 7,255 respondents, so a big number. The aim was to investigate written news readership diversification, pay and free print newspaper, online newspaper, and mobile news. These 4 platforms includes 4 different models of readerships. I call the first one the model of print newspaper, the intentional. They are people that want to be readers. They go to newsstand to buy a newspaper, or they to do a subscription, okay? They intend to be readership. And so this is the relation. The online, the free press. The free press, the model is the commuter. So the free press go to visit people in the stations, train station, bus station, etc., and try to capture the attention of commuters, travelers, okay? The third, online newspaper, the model is the desk people, so people who are in front of a computer and they work, they study, etc. They need sometimes some break, and so they go online to see the last news, and they go on the website of newspapers. And finally, the mobile news. The mobile news try to capture the anytime and any place users. So the people that doing their everyday life want to be connected to news. Our questions were 2. Do the socio-demographic characteristics of print newspapers readers continue to be the same after the internet? And the other, does the fragmentation of readerships across multiple media cause a change of their social structure? This research was published, as you can read, in the Journal of Computer Mediated Communication, and I did with Mark Deus and Federico De Luca. I do a kind of fresco, very short, about the debate surrounding newspapers, as you can capture from the literature on this last decade. Strong emphasis on dark colors, so fear. I say this because when we will analyze the second research, we will see a different picture, completely different picture, when we look at the reality from the point of view of readerships. So, fear of cannibalization by publisher, by media groups, because they wanted to go online. You know, going online was a must, something that they could not do. They were obliged, they felt somehow obliged to go online. At the same time, they were afraid that the online newspaper could cannibalize the print newspaper. Then this grief, loss of readerships, no? Then you remember The Economist about some years ago about the death of print newspapers. Then this tension between online and offline for the competition, conflict, even among the newsroom, the digital newsroom and the print newsroom. And in the top of this, uncertainty about the future and the inability to understand a business model that could work. So, but this is the vision by media group. This is not telling what audiences are thinking. The rhetoric recurring inside this debate, the mirror metaphor. So we did a lot of studies about print newspaper and online newspaper, trying to understand these two different tools, in what they differ, in what they are similar. And we can say that at the end, all this research were concording, were agreed to say that these two tools were very similar, not so different. So the mirror metaphor, so the online newspaper as the mirror, the image in the mirror of the print newspaper. Then the passive-active axis, I don't say anything about because Teresa yesterday was very, very detailed in this analysis. I want only to say a thing. The debate was influenced negatively by this assumption, which is irrational. So consider the passive as negative and the active as positive. So a passive readership is something negative to blame. An active readership is something to appreciate, to evaluate, which is wrong, which is absolutely wrong, because I can, appreciate as a user, as a reader, to simply read, stop, and I enjoy reading, absolutely. And at the same time, I can appreciate instead to be, to write, to send email, to call, to be very active in the scene of media. But both these attitudes must be respected and understood because they respond to different needs of people. And then they concentrate, disperse axis. So this movement inside the readership, so this readership that from being a lot in the same routine, in the same ritualization, at a certain moment began to go here, there, and there. So where are they? The results. 85% of the sample declared to read the print newspaper. So the big number is still there. 44% online newspaper. 74% the free press. 27.4% mobile news. Print newspaper were more read in Spain than in the other countries. Online newspapers again in Spain, followed by Germany. Free press more in the UK, followed by Spain and France. But if we look at the frequent reading, so people who read several times a week or every day, Germany is in the first place regarding print newspaper, followed by the UK. Germany and Spain are at the top country for the frequent reading of online newspapers, and the UK is the country with the highest frequent reading of free press. And this is the table, but I rush. I leave the presentation so you can see. How does the readerships distribute across these media? This was the problem that we investigate really here. So we found that what was the problem? To understand if all this readership of these different platforms was overlapping or not. So there was really, as some scholars pretended to say, an enlargement of the readership thanks to all these different platforms, or the readership was decreasing on the whole. We found 7% of respondents read frequently print, online, and free newspaper. So only a very little part of readership is readers of everything. Those who frequently read the news on 2 platforms are 44. So 2 platforms. Only on 1 platform, so readers that read only one thing, or print newspaper, or online, or free press, are around 30%. The frequent readers of the free press only, so those who read only the free press, are 6%. Those who read only print newspaper, 22%. Those who read only online newspaper, 4%. The portrait of print, online, and the free newspapers readers. So, who are they? Here are the results of the 4 regression analysis we did on print newspaper, online newspaper, free press, and mobile news. Here, very briefly, I make a summary of the predictors. What we found, culture continues to be very important. So if I am in Spain, the situation is one. If I'm in Italy, is another. If I'm in UK, is another. In Germany, in France, they are different. There are significant differences. So culture is still a very strong variable capable to diversify behavior, cultural behavior. A similar strength can be recognized to other variables, which are the ownership of computer, the degree of urbanization, and the relationship with cultural activities. They are able to influence all the platform. Education, activity, and family typology are quite strong, but not regarding all the platforms. Some platforms, other not. What is very interesting, gender and age are becoming weaker predictor in respect to the past. Men more than women read the print and online newspaper, but no difference for mobile news and free press, for example. In the US, the situation is different, but you know, this difference doesn't cross all the media now. Age. No age difference about reading print and the free newspaper, but younger are more likely to read online and mobile news. This means that the digital platforms have the merit to reconcile youth with the news, did the miracle that print newspapers were not able to do. Conclusion of this research. Regarding print newspaper, reading print newspaper remains, as we said, the backbone of the news world. Still today, audiences, readerships, users say what you want. There is not a satisfactory definition. are there, okay? However, now we must talk about trans readership. So a readership that is also richer than the past, because we have many people that read more than one in one platform. So the diversification of the readership is an enrichment for the new user, for the news users. It's not something that was bad for us, for users. The social characteristics of the print newspaper readership continue to remain almost the same, but the profiles of news readerships across the other media, online, free and mobile, differ, at least in part. Then there is a decrease of print newspapers readership. There is this decrease. And also, what is important to understand is the decrease is of the frequency of the reading. So we read less frequent than in the past print newspaper. But if we consider the various platforms, online, mobile, and free, news readership is growing. Okay? Readerships are not only fragmented, but they show, because there is a lot of debate about this fragmentation, atomization of readerships. You know very well this debate, I imagine. But there are two characteristics which are very important. Readerships are become volatile and disloyal, so less loyal than in the past. Because all the people, when people go online, they go to make a tour online. They go in this website, in the other, etc. If I go to the newsstand to buy a newspaper, I buy my newspaper. So the newspaper that I buy every day or a lot of times during the several times in the week. So with the online situation and also free press, because people bring what they find in the train, the bus, the readership become absolutely disloyal. The variety of platform, however, guarantees, in a certain sense, the pluralism of information. So all these concern about the fact that there is this dispersion of people around these media is not shareable in my vision. Second, the research. So here the macro picture. Now the micro picture. So a particular glance on a group of people we investigate. This research, we decide to look at print online newspapers as material artifact, so as object, okay, in their totality of object, in their physicality of objects, because we were really unsatisfied about this long wave of research on print and online newspapers as a communication tool, because this was terribly reductive and in a certain sense didn't allow us to understand so much, okay? So we tried another strategy. What we investigated, the physicality of these two objects, the variety of their use, the gesture and the posture while reading them, the emotion, the ritualization of their purchase and use, the memorization of news, so other kind of topics, of themes. We used 3 methodological tools: essay written by students like you, my students in Udine, then an ethnographic observation done by groups of students like you. I organize the students in groups, and we organize this observation, and then an expert interview. Results. Print and online newspapers are described and perceived very differently by students. Print newspaper as an object completed, finished in itself, is wrong. Print newspaper is an object completed, finished in itself, with a high manipulability. Okay? I can manipulate the print newspaper as I want. Okay? I have a strong control about this. It is mine. I do what I want. I want to cut an article to keep in my archive. I can use to pack something. I do what I want. Sensory appeal. The print newspapers and the paper in particular, has a smell, has a particular touch, okay, as a sound. So gives me, user, a multi-sensorial experience, okay? And a lot of people talk about, because we continue this research with the undergraduate students, and we have 140 essays by them, and a lot of people speak especially about the smell. The smell is very important, but we know that the smell is important for memorization. And in fact, memorization of news in print newspaper, because of all these channels they activate, is much better than on online newspaper. Sense of mastery and ownership. It is mine. And this sense of I can do what I want. Online newspaper, it is only a service. Users lose the sense of the totality of the object. Why? Because online newspapers are third-order object. They come after the computer and the internet. They are the third box inside the other two boxes. They have a limited manipulability. Yes, I can go follow an hyperlink. I can also, make bigger, but it is more limited. And in fact, you access only a page at a time. I see this in the online newspaper. I have this control. Weak control about online newspaper. Why? Because with the print newspaper, I buy, it's mine. But when I go online, I'm a guest. I'm a guest of some other, of the publisher. If you have experienced, for example, to write some comments in the forum, in some forums of online newspaper, you encounter a master, the master of the webmaster, that fix the rules and say, no, you cannot write comments too long, you cannot use this type of language, and blah, blah, blah. We are discussing this topic, so because the space is not our, is their space, okay? Low sense of mastery and no ownership, of course. But what emerged? The print newspapers are used for an enormous amount of purposes, as a covering to avoid dirtying the floor or the car seats, or wrapping for objects or gifts to protect fragile or precious objects such as silver, glass, or pottery, to transport containers of plants or flowers, to clean windows. Thank you. To clean windows or kitchen equipment, to protect the floor during maintenance work, to fill bags and shoes, to give them a shape, to speed up the ripening of fruits, to light a fire, to protect, and blah, 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 a long list. And I'm convinced that if we do the research here with you, a list will become longer and longer, because the paper of print newspaper is a genius object, extremely useful for a lot of things, and recyclable. We must be very careful, because people from the electronic world at certain point came out with this slogan, go online, go green, bestiality. It is not true, absolutely not true. Print newspapers are much more green than the online world. Because they say we don't cut trees. Bestiality. Trees are cut and are replanted, but all the waste from computers, mobiles, tablets are much more difficult to be recycled. So we must think about this, because the EU COST has founded a network of people from all over Europe to study this problem and to come out with some solution, but also to, contest this big advertising campaign coming from US and spreading around the world, because it is completely false. Ritualization, I go very short because ritualization, people buy exactly the print newspaper that they like to read, that according to Mirko, mirrors the idea. So I buy a newspaper because I like the content of this newspaper, the line of thinking of this newspaper. By contrast, I already said, when people go online, they often read here and there. Users often reinvent print newspapers' identity, so the daily of Sunday lasts all the week, so become a magazine becomes. And in Italy, the ritualization seen from one country, Italy, it came out that reading newspaper is a mainly communal activity, which may take place at home or in public places such as bar, public transport, etc., and is often connected to the morning, a table and a cup of coffee. This is the image, the metaphor more frequent. Table, cup of coffee, morning, newspaper. Bar, many times bar. Communal, why communal? If you go in an Italian bar, there are a lot of people around that have a coffee and look at the newspaper. The bars in Italian have many newspapers because they know that clients read them, especially the elderly that go to the bar to stay with the other people, and they read, and so they need many copies. Gesture and posture, the other thing. Print newspapers inspire, not the S, is a mistake. Don't imitate my English because it is terrible. Print newspapers inspire a consistent opening of the arm at the height of the heart that mimics a broad opening towards the world. This is what we do to read the newspaper. We are not in defense that, and this is the heart. This is the print newspapers are the media that open more the body, the human body, open more. The gestures start from the sternum, opening up expansively to the outside, showing also at the metaphorical level that they express the largest opening to the world. When we read a book, we read like that. It is a micro gesture, and the arm remain like that, near to the shoulder. They don't open, but with the print newspaper, yes. When people read the news with the print newspaper, they are in a position in which news arrive directly at their heart. And this should make us thinking about. On the keyboard, when we read online newspaper, we do micro gestures. But what is important is a thing. Online reading has been concentrated vertically at the height of the screen, and so in a completely new position for the reader. So I'm here, and the screen is here. I stay like that. But if I read a book, I stay in that position. This is a tremendous merit of the online culture. The fact that they require people to set up the head in that position. This is really a very big revolution, because if there was not this posture, it would not be possible, the famous prosumer, so the consumer who at the same time is a producer, because to have this creativity, this proactivity, you must feel on the same level with the author, with the person who wrote. And this is the position, right position. But when I read print newspaper or books, I'm like that, in a position of pregunta, of a prayer, you know. Not pregunta. Pregunta is a question. I want to say prayer. What is in Spanish? Petición. Petición. Oh. Okay. Emotion, identity, and memorization. Emotions can arise from various elements. The content of the newspaper, when we read disaster, war, things like that, crimes, they are highly emotional. The particular pleasure gained by readers in recognize themselves in the ideological and political stance of the newspaper. This increases also their sense of belonging to that specific readership. The sensory channels involved in the interaction. So we said already, print newspaper convey tactile sensation, olfactory, auditory, and visual experience. But summarizing what is important with print newspaper, this sense of physical well-being and pleasantness. A lot of people talk about this sense of relax. They conceptualize an image. I have a break. I read the newspaper. I take a cup of coffee. I sit down, in the sofa. So this relax, this break, this sense of joy. Instead, reading online newspapers give a sense of coldness. It's not something very affective, but the online has its merits. It is constantly updates, allow richer interaction, multimedia content, and even people with disabilities can access. This is also very important. By contrast, memorization online is more difficult. Okay. Third research, the QR codes, or from the future of the press to the press of the future, is not a joke. It's a very important, different approach. In the first research, the framework was the poor future of the press, okay? And we all were very sad about a tool that is seen many times as dying, which is not, is wrong, but this was the underlying message. So we said, stop with this, we don't go anywhere with this debate, which is not constructive, not, and we change the press of the future. What we can do to imagine the press we want to like, we want to have. And I make a call to the students here, because it is your question to understand what you want, what press you want in your life, in your future. So instead of observing the reality and trying to understand the change, we pass to ask ourselves, what can we do to change this situation? What can be the press of the future? Here there are two different approaches. The first is the bonding strategies, and the second is the bridging strategy. The bonding strategy is that which tries to develop an augmented newspaper by integrating the print and the digital, but making the print newspaper in a certain sense electrified, okay? One example, but there is one of the several examples now in Europe, because there are a lot of attempts, of experiments on this direction. One example is the interactive newsprint, a project led by the University of Central Lancashire, which released a print edition of the Lancashire Evening Post that responds to touch with a button to play audio. You know that David Fröhlich invented at Surrey this technology that now we all have in the camera. So this connection between the image and the audio. So you take a picture and you say, I'm here in front of this is, and you describe the picture, okay? And you have the audio connected to the picture. So if you want to see this project you have here. So this is bonding, what we call bonding technology. So a technology that put together in a very close way the digital and the print. Then there is the bridging strategy, which I like more. The bridging strategy seeks to connect somehow the print with the digital, whilst keeping them physically separated. Because with the bonding, you know, we bring into the print world all the waste of the digital world. Because the print paper become heavy, and also with all the problematics of the electronic world. Instead, the bridging strategy put in connection the digital and the print by respecting their diversity, okay? What is the quid, the question, the QR code? What are the QR code? A QR code, a quick response code, is a two-dimensional barcode or matrix consisting of black modules arranged within a square pattern. You all know them. They are meant to be read by smartphone through special application. They are ubiquitous, present, and they, you know, attract our attention from newspapers and magazines, supermarket, station, public services, blah, blah, blah. QR codes are used in a variety also of contexts: posters, museum, advertising, coupon, business. A particular use, which is the use we are interested today, is related to the press world. In the US, the Wall Street Journal, and in Italy, several journals, La Repubblica, Panorama, have begun to make use of them. For example, the Wall Street Journal, at the end of an article, you can find a QR code with a suggestion like this: scan this code for a video about or watch art. In general, what happens when I scan with the mobile phone the QR code? The reader is brought to the online version of the article, or to a website with photos, videos, audio recordings providing additional information. So QR codes are a bridge between a static medium, such as the print newspaper, and the dynamic world of Web 2.0. They could be a great opportunity for the print newspaper to struggle against the fossilization of news reported on it. Think what is the main limit of print newspaper. When you buy, it is absolutely not modificable. It is like that. The Pope changes, the hurricane arrives, the earthquake happens. there is no way to put something new, some updating of news there. But through the QR code, you know, there is the possibility of this updating, where online I use the facilities, the affordances of the online to adjust, to overcome this limit of the print newspaper. But are they used in a good way today? No, because, you know, publishers, I don't know for which kind of mystery, but they are not able to produce a productive thinking about their product, what they sell, newspapers. So the only thing that publishers are able to propose is to add information. You know, they say, come online, you can see more. More is better. More communication is always better. This is the mantra, the concept that are behind their move, their strategy, which is wrong. And it was demonstrated a lot of time that more communication is not automatically better. Sometimes we want few communication because we don't have time. We want short thing. What now we are discussing with this cost network, who is trying to understand what can be a good use of QR code, and can be used to update the news, to give readers the possibility to post comments, to introduce the mechanism of sharing and liking, to offer summaries of the article, and so on. So ask the users, what do you like to have on through the QR code? This is the question. They don't do that. They propose what they want. So QR code appeared ideal in terms of bridging strategies, because they maintain the most appropriate characteristic of both. Cons of QR code. Many users have no idea what QR codes are and how to use them. There are many competing technologies and standards, near field communication, image recognition, etc. But I would like to specify that I don't want that we think only to QR code. QR code is an example of a strategy. Maybe the future will not be the QR code, because they have their cons, you know, but something similar. So we need a technology like, okay? They need a smart mobile media, but to be scanned, but not all people have. And camera doesn't always recognize them. Sometimes you do that and nothing happens. But is this situation changing now? We have two studies. I go very quickly. My time is... we have two studies, one in UK at the University of Bath, and one in US by MGH survey. The Bath study is very optimistic. It comes out that they consider a QR code as a more, half of Bath students consider a QR code as a more appealing way to enter the internet. And 62% reported they use as a good experience. And then the use increased between 2008 and 2009. The use is increasing because we did also a research about that, but we will see later. Then we have this US research. 70% of smartphone users in the US said that they plan to use a QR code again or for the first time. We did two different methodological, we applied these two different methodological tools. Again, 20 essays by students and a structured survey data with 845 online questionnaires. The study is part of this cost. You can read and go on the website. And the result are that, I say only one, 34% of people had downloaded an application for QR code scanning, and 66% considered the QR code useful, okay? So there is a certain agreement about the diffusion of QR code use. Men are ahead in adoption and use, but they or something similar to them can contribute very much to the mobilization of information, things, and people. I will stop here. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Leopoldina. Thank you very much. Well, Leopoldina has done a very complete, exhaustive talk about print newspapers and online newspapers and the readers' differences. And I think Leopoldina has talked about things we should reflect about or think about, because they are very, very important. For example, the differences between the reader and the guest as a concept for audiences, and what are newspapers used for? It could be another point for thinking, and as well the perceptions of quality. I don't know, Leopoldina, if you have something to say about that, about quality and perceptions of quality. We can talk about that now. And the QR codes, which are a very good strategy for the survival of the press, it could be. And I think you have done a very important question when you said how must be the press of the future, or how can be the newspapers in the future. So we can talk about that now if you want. We only have a few minutes for that, but we can discuss a little bit. And if you have any question, you can make it to Leopoldina. Si tenéis alguna pregunta, alguna reflexión que hacer sobre los temas que ha tratado Leopoldina, pues este sería el momento, y si no, bueno, vamos a comentar un poco su charla y pasaríamos ya a la siguiente charla, que es la de Claudia Mellado. Sí, dime.
I'll try to be brief because I know time is very short, but nevertheless I need, some introduction to my question. I was glad to hear you tackling the discourse of materiality, because I think that's quite an issue in philosophy these days, the materiality of things, that is not unimportant. My question goes to a reflection of the digital media using strategies that belong to the materiality of the printed media. And you might be aware of certain newspapers asking for paid subscriptions, such as the International Herald Tribune, and how, for instance, the readership of The Guardian responded to The Guardian in the event of The Guardian asking for payment subscriptions, which they declined. So what do you think of the digital media adopting the materiality of the printed media on the one hand, and on the other hand, what is the materiality of the digital, if any?
I think that it works the way around. So it is the print newspaper that can use at the best the online, because they are the root on which the online has been built. So I think the materiality is the object in itself. There is, this new materialism trend, and scholars who are doing a very interesting analysis about the necessity to come back to the materiality of objects, because otherwise we lose our way to know things. And this case, the print newspaper and the online newspaper show exactly this, that we have lost our way to understand really the situation, trying to analyze them only in communicative tools. That strategy was not so. Except one function of them, it doesn't work. We must come back to the object, observe the object, and try to understand how people relate to the object. And to answer to your question, you said the quality in this research is always perceived connected to the print newspaper, not the online newspaper. The value of the content is still there for these people. We cannot generalize, because this result comes from a qualitative study, but these were the results. So these maybe can make us thinking about, also to explore in a more big detail the question. The online, people search online the news which are commentable by them, But if through the QR code, the print newspaper give to people the possibility to do that, they could attract a lot of people. So I believe that there is space, there is room for print newspaper to develop in the future. There is this sense of death that we perceive around them, which is completely stupid. We must stop it. It is not this the case. So try to think, young people, students, must try to think, because they have not the inertia, mental inertia we have. So they must try to think about this solution. This is the door through which, introducing the print newspaper, all the good things that the digital expressed till now.
¿Alguna pregunta más? ¿Cuestiones?
We've been talking about print press, online press, and my question would be, do you think that print press is bound to become extinct? Or does it have to coexist with online press, or print press or online press has to be the winner of that battle? And would you think that even print press would become extinct and online press would be the only press that we would consume in the next years to come?
No. I don't think that the online press will be the only press we will read. if I understood correctly your question, I think that the platform even will develop, will become more. So we are in a situation of big convergence process between media, cross-media, etc. But here again, the debate is quite limited, because if you think, when we think about convergence or convergence?
Convergence.
Convergence. Okay, thank you. If we think about convergence, we think about convergence across new media. And so, the mobile, television into the mobile, or radio into the mobile, internet into the mobile, or internet into the digital television. So, among the digital, no, the most promising convergence is between analog and digital. So in that way, so why don't you think about that? You know, this is the reason of my call to you students. You must think, you have more freedom in your mind, respect us. Because also, you know, academically, when a debate starts, this debate of convergence, and it develops in a certain way, there is a certain conformism also among academics, and then they repeat. A lot of people repeat. No. Look also at this combination, at this convergence between the analog and the digital, which is very promising.
Okay. So thank you very much, Leopoldina. Thank you.